personal growth. I'm Annie Sousa, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home to many of us. Why do we keep attracting toxic people into our lives? And more importantly, how can we rewrite the script to stop? If you ever wonder why certain patterns keep repeating in your relationships, whether it's in friendships, romantic connections, or even work environments, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or follow the podcast wherever you're listening. And if you find this episode helpful, drop a like and comment with one thing you're taking away. Let's start with a question. Have you ever felt like you are a magnet for toxic people? You are not alone. Here's the truth. Toxic relationships often stem from subconscious patterns. Yep, here we go. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, Annie, really? Are you going to be talking about that woo-woo, whatever, boo-boo crap, that unconscious stuff? Yes, guys, because it's real. It's science. Feel free to Google it. And when I say Google it, I mean go to mental science journals, please. And yes, you will find it. Because maybe it's unhealed childhood wounds, unresolved insecurities, or even cultural narratives that would tell us we have to fix people. And this is true. Sometimes it's not, we feel so ashamed or so much embarrassment and so many other feelings around this whole subconscious word. But sometimes it's not about who are we going to blame for this. It's things that just happen. It can be something like literally what I just said, cultural narratives, the culture that you grew up in, what things were culturally acceptable, what things were culturally allowed or done. So it's just some things that just are. But yeah, cultural wounds, cultural narratives, unresolved insecurities, things as simple as that. And I know it sounds like you say, woo-woo, but it is real. So according to recent studies published in Psychology Today, people with a history of trauma are more likely to attract emotionally unavailable or toxic individuals. You guys, if it makes you feel any better, and I say this without any type of issue, I just want to disclose this to help you feel that you're not alone. I fall in this category. Okay? So I just want you to know that I fall into the category of the people that are more likely to attract emotionally available or toxic individuals. So before we dive into the role playing, let me share a quick story. A listener, we're going to call her Sarah, wrote in about a pattern she's been noticing in her life. Sarah told us about her tendency to attract friends who constantly drain her energy. They call her only when they needed something and dismiss her feelings, and would even guilt her when she tried to take time for herself. Sound familiar to anyone out there? Does to me. She said it's like I have this invisible magnet for people who just take and take, and I don't know how to stop it. And I think a lot of us can relate to Sarah's story. It's not about being weak or naive, by the way. It's often about not having the tools to set and enforce boundaries. That's where boundaries come in. If Sarah could rewrite her script, here's what it might look like in real life scenario. So drop a comment below if you've noticed a recurring pattern in your relationships. Let's start a conversation. Now let's break it down. Why do we attract toxic people? And I did a podcast about what makes a person toxic. It was last week's. So I want you to go to that one if you're curious about that particular topic. But let's now see what is it that we attract toxic people. It's not bad luck, guys. It's not that someone cursed us. It's not that you are bad luck. It's about energy. It's about boundaries and what we've normalized in our lives. This is completely and accurately true. I've learned this. And I think a lot of people that have healed have learned this. A lot of people that are in a healing journey have learned this. And I think you can read about this. Toxic people thrive on those who are overly giving or lacking boundaries. So are you constantly putting others' needs ahead of yours? So that's a good question to ask you. Do you, and feel free to comment, are you those people that put your needs ahead of your own? Sometimes toxic dynamics feel familiar, and this is the subconscious part I'm talking about, because they mirror relationship with experience in the past. The brain craves what it knows, even if it's unhealthy. And this part is so important to delve into. And I'm going to be honest about this. I didn't even know about this as I was doing it. Guys, you have no idea. I had an amazing relationship. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to share my own story to normalize this. But I had an amazing relationship. You know, we've all dated in our teens and in our 20s and in our 30s. Like, we've all dated. But I remember there's one relationship that you feel like, oh my God, I screwed that up. That's the relationship I remember. And it was before I was diagnosed with ADHD, autism, anything. I didn't even know anything about psychology or mental health. I was not aware of anything. I was in my 20s living my best life. Guys, I think I was 19, 20. I met him very young. He was a great guy. And, but we were long distance at one point. And in my brain, I started thinking, you know what? He is long distance. He has a long career ahead of him. I have a long career ahead of me. His parents met when his dad was in a relationship. It's going to be the same thing. My brain started spiraling and creating these dynamics because why do you think that happened, guys? Think about what we're discussing. Now, I'm going to tell you why that happened. In my childhood, without me knowing at the time, and as I'm talking to you guys, you should see my face. I didn't know I was a fixer. My needs were put last. With my brother, I was always the fixer. I was always the quiet one. I was a not undiagnosed neurodivergent, if you will. So I already felt like I was the odd one, right? So I already felt weird, bad, that I had to make everyone feel comfortable because I, by design, just existing, made people uncomfortable. Therefore, I had to make people okay. So I would always go out of my way to fix and make people happy. And so in the tumultuous, chaotic environment I grew up in, my parents are still together, nothing like that, nothing, no SA, no abuse, nothing from my parents. But my brother had a very strong temper. He undiagnosed to this day, but he clearly is struggling with something that I won't discuss now because I'm not his clinician. But my point, and we part ways at some point, but my point is he was very temperamental. He would explode. He would start yelling. And I had an uncle the same way, someone that passed away. And so I grew up in an environment where I would see people, men, my uncle and my brother, and they would just start screaming or get angry out of nowhere. So think about this. A little kid growing up in that environment, you just grow hyper aware and hyper alert. But at the same time, your body gets used to that alertness and that anxiety. And that's what I wanted to say when I said before, sometimes toxic dynamics feel familiar because they mirror relationship with experience in the past. Because yes, our brain craves what it knows because at least our brains feel like that's normal. I know how to work that, but I don't know how to work that other thing. So subconsciously, my brain, as great as that relationship that I was describing was, passive, amazing chemistry, great guy, my brain was completely lost subconsciously. Wait, this is too peaceful. He doesn't yell. He's too calm. He is very caring. He is super sweet. I don't know how to navigate this. It's about me. Nothing has ever been about me, you guys. So what do? Self-sabotage. And I cut the relationship. What do you guys think I did next? I jumped into a relationship with what now is my ex-husband, who ended up being a very toxic, abusive relationship, who mirrored the dynamic relationship with my brother and my uncle. Tumultuous, a big temper, and yelling out of nowhere, unhealthy. But my brain knew how to survive that. So it was, in an unhealthy, maladaptive way, familiar. And that's why I wanted to share that story. to see if that helps you comprehend the level of why we, in the therapy world, we hear a lot of, why do we have to go to the past? We are not fans of going to the past. It's just because understanding certain behaviors, certain things from our past, kind of like gives us that epiphany, that moment of clarity of, oh, damn, that's why. And in that moment, you guys, you honest to God realize, wait, I gotta stop dating until I figure this crap out. And literally that's what I did, because guys, honest to God, after my divorce, I attempted to date one person after the divorce. And I remember right after the divorce, and I thought I was like, I know what a toxic person looks like. I know what a narcissist looks like. I know what a selfish person. I went down the whole toxic characteristics. Guys, ended up in the same boat. To be honest, I ended up with the same characteristics. Someone that was definitely not healed and selfish and did not care about me, only care how he looked and wanted someone so he would look good. So my point being, until you heal, you have to definitely not jump, because that's where you always end up in the same familiar relationship. So let's face it. My example, I think, is like many of us. We've all settled for those toxic relationships, because this is the other thing. The idea of loneliness feels scarier than staying in a bad situation, right? So does any of what I mentioned, Sarah's story, my story, or what we've discussed thus far, resonate with you? Let me know in the comments which, honestly, point it hits hardest. Which point of all of this that we've discussed hits hardest to you? Okay, now let's rewrite the script. How do we stop this pattern once and for all? I kind of gave a little bit away already. Well, it starts with these 3 steps. Boundaries are non-negotiable. And guys, I don't like confrontation. And for me, putting boundaries felt like I was being mean and confrontational, let me tell you. So if anybody's saying that or thinking that, oh no, that sounds mean, I get you. But toxic people, they thrive in environments where boundaries don't exist. So you have to start by saying no to things that drain you. And things that drain you can be something like a manipulative person that puts a guilty face. Listen, that is something that a lot of toxic, manipulative, and emotionally unavailable or emotionally immature people use. That guilty tone, that sad face, but I didn't mean to. And then they make you, what they did, their behavior, their disrespect, they throw it onto you. No. So you have to start by saying no to things that drain you. So, all right, let's dive into something really practical. How to set these boundaries. I know it can feel awkward or even intimidating, so let's role play a couple of common situations. So let's start. Picture yourself in the scenarios, and I'll guide you through how to respond. Scenario 1, the overbearing friend setup. A friend that constantly, guilt trips you into doing things you don't want to do. Lord, did I have this? You've been invited to yet another last-minute event by this friend, but you're drained and need some personal time. Here's how you can handle it. Hey, and the friend's name, what do you guys want to call it? I don't know. Let's just call it friend's name, because I'm not being creative today. Hey, friend's name, I really value our friendship, but I need to be honest. I can make it tonight. I've been feeling overwhelmed and I need some downtime. I hope you understand. Now, this approach is polite but firm. Notice how you're not apologizing excessively or justifying your decision beyond what's necessary. You guys, I'm going to pause for a second, because I know a lot of you out there are like, but Annie, but, and are like right now short-circuiting, anxious, like, wait, they're going to ask me for an excuse. They're going to ask me, what do you mean overwhelming? What do you mean you need some downtime? I get it. That literally is me, if that helps. I know how you feel. It's very anxiety-provoking. And it's going to be anxiety-provoking until you keep doing this over and over again and it becomes a norm. Listen, you can ask one of my best friends. She saw me and her husband. I was completely short-circuiting because I had to say, I have some plans today. Something as simple as that, you guys. I'm not joking. And I felt horrifying. But You get used to it. You start little by little. Will you get completely used to it? Maybe not. Because honestly, it still feels heavy on me. But I'm doing it because the option is not acceptable anymore in my book. So just do a deep breathing, and it's like a Band-Aid. Peel it off and fast. So this approach, again, polite, but firm. And if someone tells you, what do you mean overwhelmed? And if they go with the passive aggressive, oh girl, you're always overwhelmed. Well, maybe so. Or just don't ignore. You don't need to, it does not, listen, boundaries don't require over-explaining. You just gave the explanation, move on. Scenario 2, the demanding colleague. Oh gosh, guys, come on. We've all had this coworker, right? This coworker keeps dumping their work on you without asking. So imagine the coworker sends you an email saying, hey, can you take care of this for me? I'm swamped. Like you aren't, right? Okay, so here's one way you can respond. Hey, or hi, coworker's name. I'm going to call her Emily. Why did that name pop up? No idea. Sorry to the Emilys out there. I understand you're busy, but I'm at full capacity with my own workload. I suggest reaching out to, I don't know, manager, the manager's name, I don't know, Olive, I don't know, or someone else on the team to see if they can help. See, in this scenario, see how you are redirecting responsibility without being rude? It's about holding your ground while remaining professional. And also you're holding her accountable for her own things. Now, scenario 3. Guys, are you ready for scenario 3? Because I know a lot of you are going to be like, what? The manipulative family member. This one is going to hit different depending on your culture. I am aware of a lot of cultures that it's very difficult. So, brace for impact. A family member is pressuring you to do something that goes against your values. So, family dynamics can be tough, especially when someone uses guilt to get their way. Listen, I grew up in a Catholic Spaniard home. I get guilt. So, I understand it can be hard. You got this, guys. So, family dynamics can be tough, especially when someone uses guilt to get their way. So, let's say they say something like, if you really cared about me, oh my God, guys, have you heard that? It's like, oh, really? You're doing that? But anyway, sorry, guys. If you really care about me, you do this. And here is how to respond. Family member's name, mom, dad, grandma. Don't ask me why I went there, but I'm just assuming. I care about you, but I need to stay true to my own priorities and values. I hope you can respect that. I can hear right now a lot of you going like, yeah, no, I cannot do that. Oh, ooh. I get that, guys. It's hard. It is hard. It is hard. I can hear you saying, my mom, my grandma, my dad, my aunt, they're going to be like, what values? I gave you the values. Guys, I get that. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're adults. And now it's time to just kind of like put your boundaries because it's your mental health. And I'm sure that a lot of your parents, and now you have your own family. And you need to take care of your own family and not repeat the cycle. So notice the use of I statements. I statements are powerful. It keeps the focus on your feelings and decisions rather than attacking the other person. You're not attacking them. That's the other thing. When they go back at you, always ground yourself with, I'm being respectful. I'm using I statements. I'm being responsible. I'm not attacking anyone. I need to keep my health and I need to take care of my own family. So this is on them. They have to figure out how to emotionally regulate themselves, which they never did when I was a kid. Now it's on their own. You're not being mean. You're not the fixer anymore. So now it's your turn. Share in the comments which scenario, and I would love to know this, guys, which scenario resonated most with you? Or if you face a boundary setting challenge, let us know how you handle it or how you wish you had. Let's learn from each other. Let me know if there's a boundary that you don't know how to handle. Let's see how we can learn from each other. When you're emotionally strong, you're less likely to tolerate toxicity. So practice self-care. Surround yourself with uplifting people and don't be afraid to seek therapy if needed. It's not, guys, I have to say this, it's not woohoo or woo woo or whatever. It's science. When you focus on self-love and confidence, you naturally repel those who seek to exploit you because you have that power. What's coming out of you is a positivity. It's powerful energy. It's not that broken down, you can take advantage of me energy. You don't talk with that, believe it or not, you're not aware of it, but right now, if you don't have boundaries, you're talking with that weak energy. And people can feel that energy. We are energy. This is science, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below, what's one boundary you're committing to this week? So rewriting the script isn't easy. It takes time, patience, and a whole lot of self-awareness. But remember this, you deserve healthy, loving relationships. If today's episode spoke to you, share with someone who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review if you're listening on a podcast platform. And if you want more tools to unmask your mind and take control of your relationships, check out the free resources I've linked in the description. It's downloadable and you can find it on my website, unmaskyourmind.com. It helps you in setting personal boundaries and it's going to help you feel stronger. Until next time, take care of your mind and we'll take care of you. Bye for now.